Hi, everybody. So wonderful to see you here. Let's just wait a few minutes for people to stream in. My name's Sura. I'm a meditation coach and trainer. Excited to talk to you today about stress types. I will share with you 5 archetypes that you can learn about, and it's just an intro. But it really helps to know how we specifically deal with stress so that we can bring ourselves back to balance and know ourselves better. So stress is an opportunity to raise our awareness, to come back to our center, to expand our awareness. So it's really important that you know what you do when you're stressed. And we know how we are when we feel relaxed and we're grounded, we're calm. Maybe that's after we've been in a yoga class or meditation session and we just feel open, we feel light, our energy's flowing, we feel we can express ourselves, we can reach out, we can connect, we can have great relationships, things happen sort of magically. And then when we get to stress, which is really our survival brain starts to kick in, that's when we get tense, right? We get tense, we get serious, we get heavy, we get angry. It's easier to snap at people. All of a sudden now, people are on our last nerves and we get edgy. It feels really edgy. It can feel raw. We might push people away. If people are wanting to reach out to us to connect, we might feel so overwhelmed that we push people away or we fall off the earth, we ghost, we disappear, we don't respond. So it's good to know what we do when we feel stressed, even in the subtle ways and the not so subtle ways. Okay, so what is the stress response? The stress response, there's 3. The first is fight. The second is flight. So remember that fight, it's acting out, getting angry, expressing what you need, but with anger. It might even mean aggression. And that's one of the first archetypes I'll share is I call it the bully. You go into bully mode. Your way or the highway. So it's fighting, it's acting out. The second one is flight, and it's running away. It's running away to save your self. And that might mean withdrawing, hiding, isolating, becoming a loner, needing to have your own space. So that's one of the second responses. And then there is a third response called freeze. Freeze is you just don't do anything. And I also call this one, I relate to it as dead fish. It's like you reach out to people and they don't even know what to do. They're frozen. They're in paralysis. They're stuck. They do nothing. Nothing. So that's the third response. And it's really good to know these 3 responses, and we probably engage in all 3 of them, right, to some degree. And we know when we're doing it. We know when we get edgy, when we feel upset, and we get more angry about things that we normally wouldn't get so upset about. And then there's the flight, which is we just feel like withdrawing from the whole world because we feel so overwhelmed, we don't know what to do. And then lastly, we're in paralysis. We just feel dead inside, kind of numb. So those are the 3 responses to stress. So just become aware of those 3. And I'd like to share also some other behaviors. So the first one is I call the addict. That's the first stress type. So you go into addiction mode. So what's your drug of choice? If you are on the addict archetype mode, please type in what your drug of choice is. Food, sex, Netflix. What is it? Sweets, alcohol, wine, foods, drugs. Addict mode, TV, Netflix, sugar, sweets. What's your go-to when you go into addict mode? And that's really like a survival, because you're wanting, addiction is a way of grounding yourself in some way, connecting yourself, but connecting yourself on a lower level. So sugar, TV, okay. So that's the first archetype, is addict. The second one is isolator. Second one is isolator. Called loner. How many of you guys isolate and just pretend nothing's really wrong, but slowly withdraw yourself until you start to go away and disappear, and you just really can only handle being in your space and nobody else's space? So that tendency is to isolate and become a loner. And that's how you deal with stress. And this is probably because you didn't have a lot of support. Perhaps in your own childhood, if you felt like you needed emotional support, your parents are probably absent in the sense of not really being present, not being there for you, not knowing how to support you. So you learned how to be independent and, be on your own and manage that space on your own completely. So that's the isolator. And Susan, Danny, you guys can relate to that. Rita, I relate to that archetype. I mean, when I feel stressed, I just sort of bring it all. I don't have the space for more things or more people. I kind of bring it in so I can focus. And I don't feel as comfortable reaching out to people and asking for help. Are you like that? You just don't even know how to ask for help. Like, I feel stressed out. Maybe all you need is somebody to talk to tell them that you're feeling stressed. Could we go do something fun? Do you have somebody like that you can reach out to and just tell them what's going on with you? And I know a lot of people don't feel they have that, or they don't feel comfortable doing that. They don't want to be a burden on other people. They don't want to ask too much or take too much. They just want to withdraw to resource themselves. So that's the second archetype. Okay. And then I talked about the third archetype, which is bully. And that's when you find yourself getting aggressive and angry and edgy and irritated, and it's getting on your nerves and snappy and I need it now. And when we're stressed, our mind goes to from here to me and survival. It's about me. And when that focus, that self-focus becomes so strong, that's when you snap into my needs are more important. Now you're in traffic and you're not going to let the other person in because I'm stressed. I need to get to where I need to go. It's you're the focus. And you might notice that you don't feel as gracious, you're not as open, you don't feel as generous or in flow and harmony with life in that way, because you've got that strong self-focus, almost like a narcissism begins to come over because you're just so stressed out and focused on what you need to take care of. So that's the bully. And great question. Can you be all these archetypes? Absolutely. Absolutely. We carry all these archetypes. The reason we're learning about them is not to feel bad about ourselves. It's not that. It's to raise awareness. And I will talk a little bit more about how to work with these archetypes to raise our awareness and to come into greater balance and wholeness with ourselves when we experience stress. Okay, the fourth archetype, similar to the isolator, but I call it the avoider. The avoider. So what are you doing to avoid life, to distract yourself from life? And it is similar to addict and also isolator, right? But you're in avoidance of life. So it could be too much consumption. You start to go into, I got to go shopping. I need to relieve some of the stress. We got to go to retail therapy. I gotta, what did I put under there? Play some video games. You know, that I'm just going to go there. I'm going to redirect what I'm experiencing, and I'm going to go into avoidance mode. And I'm also going to deny that I really have stress. Now, I just feel like doing this. I feel like doing this other thing. But because I'm in a level of denial of the level of stress that I experience, I'm just going to quietly avoid by doing something else that takes up all my time and energy. I'm going to spend all this time and energy on the internet and surf the web for the next 3 hours and just see, oh, you know what? I got to research some of these things, but really it's just a waste of your time. Maybe it's hanging out with people that they're not the best people for you, but it's taking up a level of space in your life and it's helping you forget. So it's going into that forgetfulness, you know, where you get to check out. You don't have to really be there. Maybe you're just sitting on the couch and you're watching TV and you're just avoiding, you're doing things to avoid life. So that's the fourth archetype. And the fifth one is what I call dead fish, but you can also call it ghost. That's just like paralysis. You reach out to that person, they're just gone. It's like they don't exist. And do you have friends like this, or maybe you're like this, that you know something's wrong and you reach out because you don't hear anything back. And you're thinking, wow, they must be really going through something, or they must be really stressed out because there's just zero communication. There isn't even any sign of life that's there. So that's what I call dead fish. You could also call it ghost. That's when you're in the freeze mode and paralysis. You just don't do anything. You know, don't do anything at all. So recognize that with all these archetypes, it's a way of self-preservation. It's a way of keeping ourselves anchored, and there's nothing wrong. You know, we have the survival brain. We were born with it for a reason. You know, we were hardwired to be more in survival, to anticipate negative things happening or fearful things happening in order to survive. So this stress response sometimes is constantly turned on in ourselves. We might feel hypervigilant a lot. Have you ever felt that way? Maybe you're a really busy parent and you've got a lot of responsibilities and you're always in that like go, do, gotta, and you're in hypervigilance. You're always taking care of something or doing something, and it's kind of like this chaos. And some of us can flow with that chaos. We know how to do it. We're used to it, but it keeps us turned on at a certain level. You know, it keeps that momentum going, and it's hopping and it's frenetic and sometimes chaotic. And it means also that you have a dysregulated nervous system. You're not grounded. You know, you're kind of always off center, off base, trying to, you know, get all those spinning plates, right? So just noticing when we are in this kind of like overdoing and over responsive mode, and noticing when we fall into any of these archetypes. And it doesn't matter, there's no judgment if you go into them. I observe them. So anytime, you know, I see myself getting snappy or, you know, just withdrawing for no reason or not responding, that's sending a signal back to me that, okay, maybe something's going on with me that I need to tend to. So that's how you can start to use these archetypes, is to notice your own behavior, your own actions, and your own thoughts, and start to tend to what's needed for you. So now we're going to go into, what do you do to take care of your stress? And we all know that meditation is an incredible way. It's a tool to release stress, but also invite in this sense of bliss and peace. So just recognizing, what you can do to take care of yourself when you experience any of these archetypes and you're going through something that feels frustrating or hard or heavy or twisty and tense. How do you tend to your stress? What are you going to do to tend to your stress? Is it meditation? Is it taking a bath? Is it going to yoga? Is it taking a walk, going out into nature? How are you going to reconnect and initiate that relaxation response? So it's a good thing to know when you feel stressed and then when you feel relaxed. So a tool I'd like to share with you is to just gently, on a gauge 1 to 10, what level am I at for stress? 10 being the highest level. So if you're at an 8, you know that you're at an 8. How are you going to bring yourself back to 4? How do you bring yourself back to center, back to equanimity? With loving kindness, with compassion, by being good to yourself. So often when we experience stress, we start beating ourselves up even more. I shouldn't feel this way. I should be doing it better. I should be doing it faster. I should be. And then we coulda, woulda, shoulda, and we beat ourselves up. So that's one of the most important things, is to approach ourselves with love, acceptance, and kindness.